Hello everybody, today I'm going to be sharing a real side dream experience from my book Chronicles of a Cosmic Space Case. The PDF link to this book and book 3 of my real side experiences are in the links below the description of this video. Dream 28. Dark Force attempted bribery. This was a dream incorporating dubious fellows. People can assume any attitude, from pleasant to grumpy. Anything they decide to add to their created personality. Amongst the array of created personalities that people present to the world are the less than savoury. The Dark Force controllers, exemplifying this quite demonstrably. They were the dubious fellows, putting it mildly. In this dream, I would find myself in the presence of some very dubious fellows. They were sporting expensive suits and sipping equally as expensive wine from probably very highly priced crystal goblets. There was not one thing about them that did not suggest expense. From their clothes to their crockery, they even managed to sport the sort of expressions that suggested wealth, a sort of conceited, "my handkerchief is worth more than your entire house" sneer. They made no attempt to conceal who they were. They were Dark Forces people, the evil ones. And then they offered me a deal. It was vast quantities of monies. I declined. They seemed unperturbed, not put out of countenance, and the scene and all the expense that accompanied it faded away. In the next scene, I was in the old living room of my deceased grandmother's house, and there was Peter, my father, and my deceased grandmother, suddenly not quite so deceased. Peter extended a document to me, and on examination it proved to be a life insurance policy. My gran insisted I sign it. I hesitated. I'd never signed a real side document before. The momentary delay had my gran dissolve into a fit of rage, seething and demanding I sign it. At this point, my real self-awareness afforded me the impressions of deception. It was a ruse or other, and so I declined yet again, and the scene would fade away. So in the initial scene, it was a very blatant attempt to buy me off. Gran would barely raise her voice usually when she was here on the physical, let alone froth and rave, as I described, as though she had rabies. Everyone will undoubtedly experience such attempted buy-offs too, if they choose the journey to the ears. Some have speculated how they could consider taking the money and simply continue on with their awareness process. Maybe use the funding for a beneficial cause. Nevertheless, I wouldn't wish to be in the controller's pockets, for surely to take their coin would be tantamount to an agreement, and talk about a deal with the devil. Taplines would surely follow, and maybe the kind of cause and effect karma then that would allow me to be destroyed far more readily. With anyone who accepts their blood money, seems they very easily are taken out. So it follows that such dealings place an individual in this karmic potential assassination predicament, at least for the unaware at any rate. As aware beings, we become almost superheroes in a sense, less easily eliminated. In scene 2, I did not at first see through the deception. The real side does indeed reveal all. It seems that awareness is required to have knowledge of the other creational vehicles first, then to be able to regulate the vehicle's behaviours, to conceal and obfuscate. Naturally, very aware beings on their process wouldn't need to do this, as they would be far more sincere, and thus to hide who they really were on the real side would be unnecessary. The controllers then have awareness to a point, up to say a certain life level, but not enough to conceal and rein in all their other vehicles, and so they are laid bare as the dodgy individuals that they choose to be. So the controllers do like to mimic and replicate people we know through clones and shape-shifting. But it seems again, with their awareness marginal at best, their copies are flawed, but only flawed to the view of those with the awareness to see them, or they'd be very believable, as in a few dreams when I've encountered dark force replicas. They've either been distorted, unfinished, or on occasion faceless. I was able to recognize the attempted deception through my real awareness. On this occasion, though, the duplicates were very good, and so I would suggest that as moments pass, the controllers up the ante. They send in more adept tiers of their shape-shifting minions to attempt to deceive, where the lesser agents had failed. But still, if I stand in my awareness, I will see through even the best of their minions. In this case, I was able to perceive their rage, very characteristic of emotionally driven controllers, and perhaps had I not been in my awareness, a blanketing filter might have had me not only seeing them as the genuine family members, but unable to see their real intent demonstrated with their irate natures. I may have seen them as all charms and smiles. They may have been able to maintain the facade up to a certain life level before their limited awareness prevented them from doing so any further. And with awareness, one can step into a position beyond creation and see it all, glean impressions from all 5 vehicles in all 5 life levels. The life insurance was curious. The controllers are always watching us, always looking for opportunities and ways in. Recently, through some real side experiences, I had formed the opinion I was going to be passing over, but on sharing this, I was assured by Dwayne that we are always the decider. If we have the awareness, we can decide whatever we want, and far more prudent to stay in my current position and continue on with my awareness. So consequently, I took this on board and decided just that, and have had no similar dreams of a passing over nature since, but seems the controllers were watching and took the chance to perhaps reinstall this notion by persuading me to sign a real side life insurance policy. If I had done so, this would be an agreement then, and possibly I'd re-establish my decision to pass on. And if I overlooked this dream and forgot all about it, I'd have this decision rattling around my subconscious, and with any agreement I'd have another tapline. It would be in the interests of the controllers to persuade an individual to pass over, particularly one on their journey to the ears, as they must realize too that if I passed on and returned, I may not re-establish my connection with my awareness, and in essence they'd have convinced me to potentially forfeit my opportunity, at least for now. Also, if I returned and my connection with my awareness was absent, What an opportunity for them to take me out before I do, perchance, re-establish my awareness and begin causing trouble again from their perspective. Or they might seize the chance to buy me off straight away, to cater to my personal self, who, without the connection to the real self and the ears, would be far more persuadable. For a disconnected personal self sure loves its thrills, its fortunes and fame. Then I'd have myself spiralling into a cause and effect future lifetimes, chasing all these little intents and material things.